Coming up on today's news, CM Punk to AEW confirmed, CM Punk to AEW confirmed, CM Punk to AEW confirmed, and CM Punk to AEW confirmed. And reviews of SmackDown and Rampage.
Yes! Yes! Yeah, they've got the thing! Yes!
It's got to be MJF, right?
Oh my god! Oh my god, this crowd!
Come on.
Oh, the best in the world and everything! It's got the signs!
CM Punk! Says the name.
Oh! And it's him! It's actually him! It's actually him!
Support WrestleTalk!
So, if you didn't hear, CM Punk to AEW confirmed. On AEW Rampage last night, CM Punk made his AEW debut, setting up a match with Darby Allin at All Out, and gifting free ice creams to everyone in attendance in the United Center. All in the process. The wrestling world was overjoyed at the debut, with love being thrown all over online. Punk then appeared on a media call with Tony Khan immediately following his debut, where he shone some light on some very interesting topics, such as his contract status and his future plans in AEW. Initially, Punk said he didn't want to disclose how long his contract was for, but Tony Khan did reveal that it is not short-term, nor is it part-time. The return was supposedly spoken about between Punk and Khan for about 18 months, with Punk returning to wrestling without fans in attendance not really being considered an option. He also mentioned how they designed this debut to be the worst kept secret in professional wrestling. They wanted the surprise, but wanted everyone to be anticipating it, with Punk mentioning how he wasn't being kept hidden backstage, he was around socializing with the other wrestlers. He also spoke on what influenced him to sign with AEW, and one of the things that left an impression on him the most was the passing of Brody Lee. You know, this goes back to one of the appealing things about AEW for me. It's a bit of a bummer of a topic. Brody Lee passes away, right? Come to find out he was sick, but nobody knew. Nobody said anything to anybody because it's nobody's business. A lot of respect for everybody back here. If that were anywhere else, it would be all over the internet. His poor wife would have to be dealing with that, on top of already dealing with this tragic event. So I think a lot of people back here were in on it. They knew I was going to be here, but they weren't sure. And man, isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? Worst kept secret designed that way for a reason. You can criticize and say, well, they should advertise. Maybe the ratings will be better. It's about the moments. It's about the moments and making people go, oh man, I can't miss the show. I don't know what's going to happen. This is fun and I want to be a part of it. In terms of his future in AEW, Punk mentioned that he's likely to do a bit of everything. Wrestling, commentary, and he wants to give back to wrestling. Punk also listed names such as Jungle Boy, Hobbs, Stark, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and more as potential dream opponents, as well as who knows who else is coming. Maybe a little hint towards that major acquisition that AEW reportedly have lined up. Just for one more time's sake, CM Punk to AEW confirmed. And now it's time for my review of God, I wish I was reviewing Rampage in about 5 minutes. Thank you for being an awesome pledge hammer on Patreon, Victor Henry Napoleon Dynamite. If you want your own shout out, join us on patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where today is the last day you can get involved with Wrestle League for the start of Season 11. Submit your predictions for SummerSlam right now. SmackDown began with a recap video package of Rollins' promo from last week, which was really long, and then out came Edge to cut a fiery promo, saying that Rollins was right in what he said last week, but he doesn't know the monster he's going to unleash, and he can find the place where the blood turns black, etc. Which was all some lovely foreshadowing for what was to come later in the night. The Mysterios continued their teased ascension, with Rey asking Dom to have his back in his upcoming match against Jimmy Uso, which they had a little graphic for. Rey Mysterio versus Jimmy Uso, and then they cut to an ad break, they come back, and it's Rey Mysterio versus Jey Uso, and they don't even mention it, like we're not gonna know the difference. You've made these guys different characters for a reason. They're not interchangeable anymore. We also got a recap, keep note of how many times I say that word in this review, of the Mysterios beating Ziggler and Rude at Backlash. Also, Jesus Christ, can they do anything to build this feud other than a bunch of singles matches between different tag team wrestlers? Dominic took his dad's advice and was looking out for his dad here, trying to do that assisted pin they'd done before that had worked, but this time, the referee saw him, so Rey got mad at Dom or something, but he's doing what you told him to do. He's looking out for you, Rey. He's trying to help you. Also, you liked it when it worked before, and now we got caught, you didn't like it. So, what's your problem? We got a recap of Baron Corbin stealing Big E's briefcase before he then had a fairly uninteresting match with Kevin Owens. This ended when Big E decided he wanted to get his briefcase back, so he came out to try and get it. But then Corbin got the briefcase back anyway, and then ran away, so Big E looks like an idiot, and they're doing the same story that they already did with the crown, but this time Corbin is the one that's getting away all the time. It wasn't good the first time, so nope, it's not gonna be good, is it? Before a Bianca Belair backstage promo, we got a recap video package of the contract signing from last week, which somehow lasted 1 minute and 50 seconds. Belair cuts a promo after that saying she's going to face both Vega and Carmella tonight, because she can. Shotzi and Nox faced Natalya and Tamina next, and if you're keeping track, that's the 3rd time they've done so. Except this one was a championship contenders match, and the other ones weren't. So now in WWE, according to this logic, you need to beat the champions to earn the opportunity to have a championship contenders match, where if you beat the champions again, you can then get a title match, where if you beat them again, you then become the champions. So you need to beat the champions 3 times in order to actually become the champions. Just make it make sense. That is ludicrously stupid. And of course, we got a recap of Shotzi and Nox beating them from 2 weeks ago, just to hammer home how stupid this story is. What's even more stupid is Shotzi getting the roll-up victory and commentary going, "What a big upset!" How is it possibly an upset when they've already beaten them twice and the champions haven't beaten them once? Just make it make sense. We then got a recap of Edge's promo from earlier in the night, before we're told that Seth Rollins is next, and Michael Cole calls him the Visionary of Drip. Please never say that again. As Seth is cutting a very good promo in the ring, he gets interrupted by the start of the Broods theme. Edge comes onto the Titantron, cuts a spooky promo, and then he douses Seth in blood, doing a proper bloodbath in the ring, but the blood is black because that's what he mentioned in the opening promo. And you know, on the surface, I would have thought that I would have hated this, but I thought it came off kinda cool. I thought this was really good. But there's no time to think about that, because as Seth is slowly getting to his feet, the crowd digesting what they've just seen, time to move on. Here's a recap package of Otis. That's what you really wanted, isn't it? Otis faced Montez Ford next, but not before we get another goddamn recap of the bloodbath we literally just saw. Otis won with a Vader Bomb. We then got another recap of Shinsuke winning the Intercontinental Championship, and then him and Rick Boogs teamed up to face Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. And Boogs won by pinning Crews. Thanks for coming, Apollo Crews. Back down the card you go. Also, what in God's name was the point of protecting Commander Aziz so much if he's just going to be used as another dude in a tag team? You've barely been having him wrestle, people sell his moves like they've been shot, he's always been a lurking presence behind Apollo Crews, and now he's just a dude. What was the point of all of his appearances and all that protection since WrestleMania? Like, come on, man. Like, this is why I struggle to get invested in anything, because if I started to care about Commander Aziz and I got invested in him, and then this happened, I'd be really disappointed. So the solution to that is to never get invested in anything. Rick Boogs looked good though. We got yet another recap of the contract signing from last week that they've already recapped on this show. Why aren't more people annoyed about this? Bianca Belair then beat Zelina Vega and then Carmella. Good for her, a champion that's booked strong, that's nice. In the graphic telling us it's Banks versus Belair at SummerSlam though, why did they Photoshop Banks' hair black? Just a bit weird, isn't it? And then we had the Reigns versus Cena face-to-face. Now, you guys know how I felt about the Reigns versus Cena face-to-face from last week, so was this week any better? Did they redeem themselves? Did they prove why they're worthy of another face-to-face segment? No. They didn't. Reigns begins by saying that Cena can't beat him because no one has beaten this version of Roman Reigns. Alright. Cena says 1, 2, 3 a lot, and then says that the contract he signed, that's not legally binding. I'm sorry, I just need a moment here, hold on. What? Contract signing is the entire crux of this story. It's the reason this match is happening. And yes, the contract signing taking place like that a couple weeks ago was really dumb. And Cena being able to sign it like that was really dumb. And he's 100% right. It shouldn't be legally binding. So why the did it happen in the first place? Why is this match happening if the contract isn't binding. That's Finn Balor's opportunity that he stole. Why is any of this happening now then? None of this should be happening, should it? This company drives me insane. You can't tell me one thing one week and then another thing another week. That's just not how stories work. And then after that, Cena rolls up Roman and pretends to get a 3 count, even though it wasn't really a 3 count because it was too quick for that, because the commentary team go 1, 2, 3 after Roman had already kicked out. And then Cena acted as though he got a 3 count and Roman was like, oh no! And he looked like a fool. And if it was a 3 count, then Roman just lost via roll up. What? I hated all of this. This was worse than last week. And this segment has once again made me less interested to see the SummerSlam match. And to top it all off, as part of Roman's promo, he said that if I can't beat Cena, I'll leave WWE. Cool, so Roman's winning then. Thank you for stripping away any potential belief I had that Cena might win. For those curious, by the way, there were 10 recaps on this show, totaling in at 8 minutes and 10 seconds runtime, not including the transitions in and out of the recap packages or the commentary team talking about them. If you take out ad break time, this becomes like an 80 to 90 minute show, which means that over 10% of this show that you're watching, you've already seen! That's insane. I'd ask what you thought of the show, but really, who cares? CM Punk returned on Rampage, which is way more interesting. This was one of the most uninteresting, boring, vanilla, uninspired go-home shows I've seen in recent memory, and this is for SummerSlam, the show that this year they're trying to compete with WrestleMania, they're trying to make it the big one of the year, and this is how you build to your show? I'm done. Tempest, take it away. Talk about Rampage. Talk about a good show for once.
Well, I haven't worn this shirt in a while, but take it away, Ollie.
CM Punk to AEW Confirmed.
Yeah! Hello, welcome one and all. My name is Tempest the Wrestler, and honestly, I'm just gonna talk about AEW Rampage for a few minutes. I'm not doing this like a typical review that I have been doing. I'm just gonna talk. I'm just gonna talk from the heart. So nothing really happened on this show, right? Nothing worth mentioning at all. Jibber jabber out of the way, CM Punk made his return to wrestling on AEW Rampage, and it was one of the most moving, incredible wrestling moments that I have ever seen in my 13 plus years as a wrestling fan. I could go on and on about the various things that I liked about his return promo, whether it be the music, they got Cult of Personality, whether it's the Britt Baker shout out, the setting up the match with Darby Allin at All Out, saying that he loves wrestling again, the tiebacks to Ring of Honor. There's so many things that I loved about this promo. But what it meant to me and thousands, maybe millions of wrestling fans, who knows, is much more important than what was actually said. You can see the reactions on the faces of Luke and Ollie during our live stream last night, and it just goes to show how special a moment this truly was. And honestly, I want to thank AEW for giving us that moment. You can call me an AEW shill if you want to, I don't care, I really don't mind, it's fine. Because I love wrestling in all its forms, and any company that can deliver a moment like that has me in an everlasting debt of gratitude. CM Punk's return to wrestling was something that I never thought I would see. I truly believe that he would be the one who would go away and stay away forever. As much as I would love to have seen him back, I thought he was gone. And I am so glad to be proven wrong. To see the emotion on Punk's face and the emotion on the grown men in the crowd weeping, openly weeping at the return of this pro wrestling star, it renders me speechless. There are very few moments in my time watching wrestling that have given me such an emotional, cathartic feeling like Punk's return did last night. I shed a tear watching this segment. I'll be perfectly honest, guys, when Edge retired in 2011, there wasn't a whole lot keeping me latched on to being a wrestling fan, but CM Punk became that guy. He was my favorite wrestler for a period of time, and seeing him now in AEW, it didn't hit me until I saw it. But this was one of the most special moments I've ever had watching wrestling. I could babble on about this segment until the end of the video, and truthfully, there wasn't a whole lot else on this show that was particularly noteworthy, but that doesn't matter. This was one of the most memorable wrestling shows that I've ever seen and will ever see. And for that, I'll tell you right now, this is a 5 out of 5 show. I would give it more than 5 out of 5 if I could. This segment is on the short list of the greatest wrestling segments I have ever seen in my life. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5, give it 10 stars, a million stars. It doesn't matter how many stars you give this. This was wrestling excellence. And to briefly recap what happened on the rest of the show, Jurassic Express was able to defeat Private Party in a very good match, albeit I did feel like the crowd never really got into the rest of the show like they were into the Punk segment. It doesn't make that big of a difference to me personally, but I do understand people seeing that crowd as being burnt out, as being a bit of a detraction from the rest of the show. Jade Cargill also got the win in a quick match over Kiera Hogan. I really like Kiera Hogan. I think she's great, and she is on the short list of people that I want to see signed to AEW in the future, alongside Lee Moriarty, Wheeler Yuta, and El Hijo del Vikingo. And then the main event saw Jon Moxley beat Daniel Garcia in a fairly quick match. I didn't think there was a ton of heat for this, but still, the crowd was burnt out from the opening segment, and this was still a fairly enjoyable main event. I've said it before, this is a 5 out of 5 show, all carried by that opening segment. And that just about wraps it up for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this different format I went with today. I didn't quite feel comfortable just going through the promo line by line when it was really a more emotional experience than just watching a wrestling promo. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you check out the WrestleTalk podcast later on today with Luke Owen and Pete Quinnell going through this entire show and SmackDown in detail. Until then, I've been your Quizzlemania champion, Tempest the Wrestler. And boy, do I love wrestling.
This isn't a Phase 4 movie, right? Because this is Phase 4's already ironed out.
Well, we don't really know, because Deadline themselves haven't got like a concrete date of when this is coming out. There's no director attached to it yet. They speculate it could be towards the end of 2023. So we're still a little ways off from this yet. And as you said then, like all of Phase 4 is more or less mapped out.